What is up, beautiful hobby joggers? I'll start that again. Hey there, lovely people. I always say what's up, guys, to start these videos. So I'm brainstorming some different ways that I can start. I don't know. They said I was cringe. Not cringe about a nice crispy cardigan on a fall morning. Come on with that autumn drip. I don't know. Last week, I did a video putting together some of my favorite race shoes for long runs. We already got laces flopping everywhere. So I wanted to do a follow-up this week talking about some of my favorite non-plated shoes for long runs, training shoes, daily trainers, max cushion shoes, anything without a plate. Not everybody wants to run in a plate all the time. I don't want to run in a plate all the time. Also, the plated shoes and the racing shoes, generally because they're designed for racing, tend to be, in some cases, less comfortable. In most cases, or all cases, more aggressive, designed for speed. Sometimes we want to go for comfort for the long run. So if I am going out on a long run to accumulate mileage with no goal of running fast, that's when I would choose a non-plated shoe. Most of my long runs in the past few months, because of the training style that I'm following right now, have been workouts. That's to get the biggest benefit out of the long run. So I'm getting both the aerobic stimulus, the time on feet, and the endurance stimulus. And then I can also get some specific race pace stimulus. So running a lot of miles in those long runs between a 5:30 and 6:20 pace to get that marathon pace benefit. So I have not been using a lot of non-plated shoes for long runs. This one that I'm holding right here is the last non-plated shoe that I use for a long run, but everything that I'm going to highlight in this video, these are the best shoes or my favorite shoes without a plate that I've used for long runs throughout the year. I've had different times during my training throughout the year where I have been going more for the non-plated shoes. It's just right now I want to feel fast and I want to feel confident in hitting my race paces. So that's why I'm going for the carbon plated racing shoes. But as you can see, we do not have the Carbon County sweater on. We have the non-plated cardigan on. All right, before we get into the list, I have to tell you about the Supwell app. If you're not signed up for the Supwell app, it is an app that I created, a marketplace that I launched where you can buy, sell, and trade used running shoes. We have the best gently used and new running shoe inventory on the market for hobby joggers. There are a lot of cool shoes, a lot of race shoes, and a lot of non-plated shoes. There's nearly every single, if not every single one of the shoes that I'm highlighting today. There is a pair on the app. I'm looking right now. I think, yeah, except for one of them, the last one I'm going to highlight, every single one of these shoes that I'm going to highlight today is being sold on the app by somebody in some sizes. So there's a lot of availability. We have hundreds of listings. Also, a lot of cool people there to help each other with their running. If you have any questions about your training, about how to choose a shoe, just post it on the app. I do giveaways. I also am open. My DMs are open for you to ask any questions to me. So please sign up for the Supwell app. It's $1 a month. It's what I'm focused on making great right now. I want this to be the most positive corner on the internet, and I'm building this to be an awesome place for hobby joggers. So please sign up if you like what I'm doing on the channel. You will likely enjoy the Supwell app. So with that, let us get into the first shoe. It's the one that I've been holding for the last 3 minutes. I'm also getting a flashing red dead battery, or it's gonna die. So I guess I didn't charge the battery last night. No, I did. And then Puma MagMax Nitro. This is the last non-plated shoe I use for a long run. I used this for a 23-mile long run at a relaxed effort. So that took me about 3 hours. Now, it's not generally advised to do 3-hour long runs, but I've consistently over time built up my fitness and also my strength as a runner. We don't typically associate running with muscular strength, but I built up my running specific strength so that I can tolerate 3 hours of relaxed running and recover pretty quickly. And our friend Andrew, or midlife runner, he's on the Supwell app, and he responded to someone's question talking about building a durable long run. And that phrase has stuck with me for a while now, durable long run. I love that because that's exactly what I've been able to do and tried to do over the past year and a half, starting off with 16-mile, 2-hour long runs, gradually making that my durable point, scaling it up to 20-mile long runs consistently. So now I can do 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27-mile long runs, taking anywhere between 2 hours 30 and 3 hours 30 and having that feel good. So if I'm gonna be going out there for 3 hours with the primary goal of accumulating time on feet to get aerobic benefits, I want a comfortable shoe with some bounce, with some protection. I don't want anything aggressive. That's what the MagMax Nitro is. It's a little bit on the heavier side, but it has great bounce. The stability is awesome. If you take a look here, there's a super wide base. Let me see if I can just compare. A little spoiler alert here. This is the Saucony Tempus for comparison, which I'll highlight in a second, side by side. You can see how much wider the MagMax Nitro is. So you get a lot of stability in the MagMax Nitro. They honestly could have built this as a stability shoe. Your ankle is not going to go anywhere. Similar to something like the Saucony Hurricane, which I prefer that more for walking. That did not make this list. This has more bounce for running, but lots of protection. You're not going to feel the ground at all, and the fit in here was really dialed in. So this is one of those shoes that for me completely disappeared on foot. And because the foam has that bounce to it, once I got up into that 740 to 8 flat pace range, and I think I was going at a pretty relaxed pace that day, this just melted away, disappeared. That thing's always coming through. And I didn't have to worry at all about what was on my foot. So if you want something comfortable and protective for those long runs, that would be the MagMax Nitro. If you are more sensitive to weight, and some runners are more sensitive to weight, I am not too sensitive to weight, then I would not go for the shoe. I would go for the next shoe here, which is the Asics Novablast 4. So this is similar to the MagMax Nitro in that it has that wide base, it has good protection, but the MagMax Nitro is almost like a Novablast. Whoa! It's just one of those days, man. My entire box of shoes just dumped over behind. As I was saying, the Novablast 4 is similar to the MagMax Nitro. If you already have the Novablast 4, by the way, I would not add the MagMax Nitro. These are two pretty similar shoes. But if you are looking for a new non-plated long run shoe, this was my pick for a lot of the year. It still is my pick, and just feeling this, having this in my left hand after having the MagMax Nitro in my left hand for the last 5 or so minutes, this feels so much lighter. It's noticeably lighter. It's about 40 to 50 grams lighter, or maybe about 10 to 20%, maybe about 20% lighter than the MagMax Nitros. So what you're getting here is a lot of that foam without the weight. That's the beauty of the Novablast 4, and like the MagMax, it's not the fastest shoe, and the way I should have said this in the beginning, the way I'm doing this list is going to be from slowest to fastest, or least aggressive to most aggressive. This is not an aggressive shoe. This is another great time on feet, accumulating mileage without worrying about race pace. Also a great 4-hour marathon shoe, or just finished marathon shoe. If you are looking for a non-plated, comfortable shoe that's going to be stable and protective without being too harsh or aggressive, this is an awesome option. So I used this for a 3-hour long run earlier this year. I think it was 22 to 23 miles. I had some watch tracking issues where my watch died because I didn't charge it, and then I tracked some of it on the phone and ran back. So it was about 22 to 23 miles. I was out there for over 3 hours in this shoe, and it was great. Another shoe that just completely disappeared on foot. I didn't have to worry about it. The stability was awesome. I got some nice bounce. It's kind of a weird shoe in that for the first 30 minutes, I always wonder, why the heck did I pick this shoe? But then as I get more time on feet, the benefits become clearer. The cushioning, the protection. There's not a lot of bounce for the first 30 minutes, but once you get into it, it really takes some time to get the rhythm going. But once you do, it's an awesome shoe. All right, next up here, let's go for that Tempus that I was just telling you guys about. So this is a stability shoe. This is the Tempus 1. This is the one that I would recommend. They just released the Tempus 2, which is the same thing or very similar with an upper update. I do not buy upper updates, and I cannot recommend anybody to buy an upper update. It's just, why would you do that? The midsole is the main part of the shoe, and if you can get the same midsole for $40-50 cheaper, why would you not do that? So this is the Tempus V1 stability shoe with some race foam mixed in. So we're now sliding into shoes that are maybe a little bit faster. So I use this for a long run where my feet were completely destroyed. I was having some heel pain, but I do 20 miles every weekend, so I wanted something that was gonna feel supportive and comfortable for those 20 miles. Did this make that? That's Charles coming back. Did this make the heel pain go away? No, but it made it a little bit easier. So if you have flat feet or something weird going on, using a stability shoe or a comfortable, supportive, protective shoe can be hugely helpful. The two that I just mentioned are both great. This has a little bit more prescriptive support in the heel. So the big difference with these stability shoes that I've found as a neutral runner who doesn't need stability all the time is that in the back, in the heel area, it is very locked down. It feels like there's a dozen tiny elves just holding my heel to the back of the shoe. No, it's all good. What's that? You want to say hi? Yeah, that is the milk. No, that's not. Thank you. Oh. Can't tell if that's berries or feces. Should probably wash my hands after this. Other than the comfort, what you're getting here is Saucony's rocker, which is the second best rocker in the game. Hoka has the first best rocker in the game, but the Saucony Speed Roll, I don't know if they call it Speed Roll here, but the rocker is awesome. This is probably the fastest stability shoe out there, so if you need some stability but also want some pep, this is great. I would feel comfortable and confident running marathon pace workouts in this, and if you don't want a plated shoe, this is also a great long run or marathon shoe. Of course, it's a great long run shoe I highlighted here, but a great non-plated marathon shoe or any workout shoe, and one of the best stability workout shoes out there. The Brooks Hyperion 2 is also a great stability workout shoe. I haven't tried the GTS version, but that's the one that you'd want to get if you need stability. So best stability non-plated long run shoe that I have tried, the 860 V14 by New Balance. That's one of my favorite daily trainers this year. That technically is plated. There's an EVA plastic plate, so I have not included that on this list. That's also another great stability shoe for longer runs and a great shoe in general. I've recommended that to a lot of people. 100% hit rate. Every single person I've recommended it to has loved it. Also, my sister-in-law emailed me this morning confirming that she wants to do the turkey trot with me and showing me her brand new pair of 860s that I recommended to her in July, and she finally got them, I think, through my Running Warehouse link. By the way, if you're gonna buy any of these, please do them through my Running Warehouse link. I'll put links to all these shoes below. So next up here, let's go a little bit faster, a little bit more aggressive. I think we should go for this one. So this is the New Balance Balos V1. It's not the fastest shoe, it's not the most aggressive shoe, but it does have some bounce to it. So this is a $200 daily trainer from New Balance sitting at the top of the Fresh Foam lineup right now. And the Fresh Foam lineup from New Balance is all about comfort, it's all about softness. This is one of the softest shoes that I've tested this year. I've taken it up to 17 miles. I have not taken it past that 20-mile mark, but I have done a 25-mile day in it. So I did 17 miles in the morning, and then I did 8 miles in the afternoon. That was included in the 100-mile review, so check that out if you have not. But this was great for somebody who likes soft shoes. Now, I am in a phase of training right now, which is why I'm using all of the carbon shoes, as I mentioned earlier, where I want something fast for most of my runs. So because that's the case, this felt a little bit soft for me for those morning miles, that 17 miler where I was really trying to get down to 620 pace. It was holding me at about a 630, 640. I was also on tired legs. But if you are not gonna be trying to run a workout and you just want something soft and comfortable that has a little bit more pep to it than something like the MagMax, this would be a solid shoe. So it's not gonna be the best for everybody, especially if you do not like soft shoes, but a lot of people on the Supwell app have been saying they love it. I think everyone who's tried it so far has said that they love it, except asterisk for people who've got it thinking it was going to be a tempo shoe. So it's definitely not a fast shoe. It's a soft daily trainer with some bounce. Do not let the $200 price point trick you into thinking it's a Superblast competitor, because it's not. It does not have that faster marathon pace characteristic of the Superblast. But for someone who wants soft comfort for long runs going up to 2 hours, this would be a solid pick. That 17 miler I did, I think, took us up to hour 50 something. So even though I didn't do 20 miles in it in one run, that 25 mile day was a good test, and it did not bottom out whatsoever. So even though it's very soft, there's not ground feel, and that's the unique thing about this, and the difference between this and the 1080 V13. 1080 V13 has a little bit more ground feel, and it does bottom out for some runners. This is not going to bottom out. There are a few bigger runners who have tested this on the Supwell app, and they have confirmed that as well. So it's really about preference. If your preference is you like soft shoes, this is going to be an awesome pick. Now, next up here, if you do not like soft shoes, or if you prefer something firm and you want a fast non-plated shoe, Puma Velocity Nitro 3. So this is one of the firmer daily trainers on the market. It's $135, so $65 cheaper than the Balos here, but it's fun, it's fast, it has some get up and go to it. So I tested this over a 22-mile long run on the treadmill earlier this year in the middle of a 100-mile week test that I did with this shoe in January, and it performed great. I got down to a 6 or a 6:10 pace. I think I did something like 16 miles at a 6:20 pace. It was something bananas in this shoe on the treadmill, and it handled it really well. And throughout the whole testing experience I had with the shoe, my main question was, why do we even need the Deviate Nitro when this is so fast, when this has so much bounce? So it's not a super soft shoe, but if you want something firmer, non-plated, for running faster miles, this is great. It's not going to bottom out. It's supportive. It's not the most comfortable shoe, but it does have some pep. So if your preference is faster shoes, more traditional feeling shoes, you will love this thing. Not a huge rocker, not the softest. That's why it doesn't get a lot of pop and shine, and you don't hear about it on a lot of lists. But for the right buyer, this is going to sing. You also do get that Puma grip, same thing as the MagMax Nitro, so you're not going to be slipping at all. One of the best rubbers in the game. So MagMax Nitro, that's if you want something more soft, bouncier, exciting. This is if you want a non-plated shoe that can stand up to a little bit more digging into some faster pace. All right, what do we have left here? All right, last one before I get into some bonuses. And by the way, I'm realizing now I didn't bring the Adidas Adizero SL2 out here. That is just slight oversight. I probably would have included it in this list. So SL2, that would be a good alternative to the Balos. Let me just I don't have the SL2, it's inside. I'm not gonna go get it, but I need to include the SL2 on this list. The Balos is $200. The SL2 is $130. Difference is more ground feel in the SL2, little bit less of a rocker, a little bit of a narrower fit. This has a wide forgiving fit, but if you don't want to spend $200 and you want a lightweight, non-plated shoe for some long runs, the Adizero SL2 is going to be great. You are going to get a lot more ground feel, a lot more connection and flexibility in that shoe than in something like this. This is way more modern feeling with the rocker, the soft foam, and the wider fit. The SL2 is almost like an elevated workhorse. So that would not be my first preference, my first choice for a long run. That would almost be an alternative to a plated shoe because that has more of that speed characteristic, and I prefer that shoe for shorter, faster efforts. But if you want one shoe to do it all, SL2 would be great. So last shoe here, on Cloudmonster Hyper. This is a tank, and it's a shoe that I didn't quite get along with at first, or it was a little bit confusing, but then I did, again, it's a shoe that I've not taken past 20 miles, but I did a 17 or 18 mile morning in it, and then I did 6 to 8 miles in the afternoon. I think I did a 24 mile day total, so 17 in the morning, 7 in the afternoon, and this was great. And for that type of a day, where I was fatigued in the morning, I did some work at the Harrisburg Oval, so it's not a track, but similar vibe, but it goes a half mile around or 800 meters around. And I did some fast top end speed in this. It wasn't great. It felt a little bit stiff in the morning, but then for the second run, once I already had 17 miles in it, it was singing. I got down to a 7 flat pace and was going steady, and it was amazing. So this is the type of shoe where if you really just have something against plated shoes, but want a fast, non-plated shoe, this is gonna be your ticket. It's not as soft as the Balos. It's not as comfortable as the MagMax Nitro. It's not a prescriptively soft and comfortable shoe whatsoever. It's a little bit firm, harsh, and aggressive at some paces, especially if not trying to run fast. But when landing at the front here, so the construction of the shoe is mostly a training foam in the green, and then you have the racing foam in the white here. Let's see, that's a little bit better. Racing foam in the white. So when you're landing mid-foot to forefoot, you're really just popping off of this race foam, this Puma in the front, combined with a really nice rocker. That makes for a smooth ride that, for me, was one of the best ride experiences of the year when I was locking into that pace and the shoe was warmed up. So it is a shoe where I don't think it's gonna hit for everyone, but if you are more that mid to forefoot striker and you can activate the foam in the right way and you can get around some of the weirdness with the upper and the laces and the fit and feel, it's gonna be great. So that's a lot of caveats for a $220 shoe. Again, like the Velocity Nitro 3, these are probably the two most similar shoes here in that it's gonna work for the right buyer. My friend Nick from Connecticut did a 100-mile review of this shoe. He's training for a 50 miler, the JFK 50 miler, and he absolutely loves it. So a great time on feet shoe if you don't want a plate. If you don't care about a plate or not, you could just go for something like the Hoka Mach X. That's gonna be pretty similar to this. In Mach X2, pretty similar feeling, and it's $30 cheaper. But if for some reason you just have something against plates, which I do not, I think more about the ride experience, this would be a good pick. Difference between this and the Mach X, this is a little bit softer and more forgiving in the forefoot because you don't have that plate. And you can actually see there's a gap in between these two foams, which creates a really unique ride experience where you're almost floating. But it doesn't happen at all paces. You're almost floating if you're at the exact right place, landing in the right way. So it does take a little bit of almost luck to get the most out of this shoe. Not everyone's gonna love it, but for the right buyer, it's gonna be awesome. So I did want to do one last bonus pick here. The Ghost Max 2 by Brooks. So this is gonna be my pick for you if you're in a walk, run phase of training or a recovery phase of training, or your long runs are only an hour or 45 minutes, you're trying to get back into it, or you're trying to lose some weight, you want something comfortable, that's gonna be a great shoe for walking, running, long runs, whatever it is. That would be the Brooks Ghost Max 2. So unlike a lot of these shoes here, there's no one thing that's singularly special or spectacular about the Ghost Max 2. This is just a job doer. It gets the job done. There's a nice rocker, there's some nice roll, and this is one of the best foams if you put power down into your shoe. And that's why I'm recommending it for people who are trying to get back into running or doing walk run, or maybe who are trying to lose weight, because it's very supportive, and the more force you put into it, the more benefit you will get out of it. So this is not gonna be my pick if I'm doing a 23-mile long run with 10 miles at marathon pace. Could I do it in this shoe? Yes, I think I've proven I can do that in pretty much any shoe. Would I do that in this shoe? No, it wouldn't be my first pick, but the grip is great. The foam is bouncy when you start putting force into it, either through weight or through speed, and it's a really comfortable shoe, same thing as the Ghost Max 1. So if you're in more of that run walk phase and just want one shoe to do everything, if your long runs are up to an hour, you're really trying to work on building mileage, and you also don't want to spend an arm and a leg on some $200 plated shoe, you don't need to. You can get this for $150, or if you're really only doing walking, you get the first version of this, the Ghost Max 1, for $120. So that is my list for today. I hope this was helpful for you guys out there. Long runs don't have to be terrible. They can be fun. That's my message to you. And the more that you do long runs, the easier they will get. When I was first doing the 16 weeks of 16-mile long runs last year, and that's how I started getting consistent with it, I said, I'm gonna do 16 weeks straight of 16-mile long runs. It was terrible. And then I started fueling right, so making sure I was getting those carbs every 30 minutes within the run. That's what I do. I take a gel every 30 minutes of the run. I made sure I was getting the right sleep. I made sure that I wasn't going too hard the few days leading up to it, so that I wasn't completely spent going into it. And also just, it has a compound effect building that base of, okay, I've done 90-minute long runs for 3 months. That's gonna make the 2 hours feel so much easier. And then when you do 2 hours for 3 or 4 or 5 or 6 months, that's gonna make it easier to go 2.5 to build up to those 20 miles. So get your miles in, up your best. I'll be back tomorrow with another video. Embody the slug.